Okay. Whoa. Welcome, everybody. Talofa, Bola, Malolele, Kia ora, Aloha, Kia orana, and welcome to our program, Discovering Tangaloa. It's a broadcast from Samoa on Sundays, celebrating Tangaloa, the indigenous spirit god of Samoa and the whole of Oceania. Let me straighten the camera. Okay, we got it. Thank you for joining me as we return the Tangaloa spirit to its rightful designated place, which is your soul and my soul. When I talk about the Tangaloa spirit, I'm talking about that divine attitude. It's an attitude. You see, when we came out to celebrate our warriors, the TOA SAMOA, every Samoan on the planet came waving flags, singing songs, tooting horns, consumed with positive vibrations of cheer and celebration as we showed the world our pride in being Samoan. That is the Tangaloa spirit, and that Tangaloa spirit is what I call the divine attitude. The whole world watched in absolute amazement as we displayed that indigenous mana, that divine attitude, the Tangaloa spirit. Our brothers and sisters from Tonga, Fiji, Hawaii, Maoris from Aotearoa, and our family of Oceania, they all joined in because they know the indigenous mana. They know this divine attitude because they know they have that Tangaloa spirit. A Palangi man posted a video during the last weekend, and he said, "I'm not Samoan, but I want to be a part of the celebration." So what this man did is he went out and bought a flag, then came out and stretched it behind him and took the video. That, my friend, is the impact and the influence on others of this divine attitude that I would like to call the Tangaloa spirit. So once again, welcome to our program, Discovering Tangaloa, a broadcast on Sunday celebrating Tangaloa, the indigenous spirit god of Samoa and the whole of Polynesia. A reminder about our poem competition. Me, a Samoan. I think that's a better name for our poem. The title of the poem is Me, a Samoan. And it's 5 verses, 4 lines to a verse. And some of the questions that the answer might help you write the poem, give you some idea of the poem. First question is, what part of our Samoan culture do you enjoy the most? Which part of the Samoan culture, which aspect of the Samoan culture do you enjoy the most? And the second question is, how important is learning how to speak Samoan or speaking Samoan is to you? How important is speaking Samoan or learning to speak Samoan to you? So those are the questions. The answer to those questions will help you, give you ideas on these 4 verses, 5 verses to our poem. And I've selected a poem to share with you in commemoration of last weekend when our heroes, TOA SAMOA, took us to the top of the mountain. And the poem is called Athlete. Athlete. It takes time to master any skill. I face some down times, but I climb my hill. There are days that my body is strained and about to give up, but I go back to my self-determination, which always picks me up. The passion to play runs in my veins. I train myself hard, especially when it rains. My discipline is as scorching as the sun. but I will always play my sport, my game, my rugby league with fun. This game is worthwhile and more. The confidence it gives me make my dreams soar. Every accomplishment I make, my modesty becomes better. Each time in defeat, I am able to weather. Win or lose is an entity, but it can change my reality. So I keep myself motivated and listen to the coach and pray that the Tangaloa spirit, that divine attitude, will hand me the torch. There is something more than a gold medal hanging on my neck. It is something that no one else could wreck. You see, this whole meaningful experience makes me complete because I am proud that I grew up to be an athlete. And that's a poem to commemorate the event that happened last weekend. And it's our way of saluting our boys of the TOA SAMOA. Once again, thank you, TOA SAMOA, for taking us to the top of the mountain. Let's play our song before we come back. Lawaki e langona pea sio iuleo.
Samoa, mo Samoa. Ele mawhai e mai lelei a lea no whai. Ele mawhai, ele mawhai, ele mawhai. Ela waki e la mona pea si au iu leo. Ele kule ni kupalangi e la Samoa. Ole maua pule, ole maua malata ua, ole maua Samoa mo Samoa. Lauaki e la mana pea si o iu leo. Ele kule ni kupalangi e la Samoa. Ole maua malata ua, ole maua Samoa mo Samoa.
That's the song we play every Sunday with our program, because it delivers that the ambience of that emotion, of that Tangaloa spirit, of that divine attitude that Lawaki had. This week, I'm thinking of starting something new and test it out. I want to do a whangongo, do a little whangongo. And I think it's good. It's good for seeing that the program is mainly geared for the diaspora, and the parents of the diaspora can speak Samoan and English, but it's the young people, it's their children. It's the third, I would say the third or the second generation diaspora that do not speak Samoan or know very little Samoan. And usually they're young people. So I thought whangongo being a Samoan thing would be appropriate to incorporate into our program. And this whole week, we're going to talk just one more time before about the TOA SAMOA and what they did. It's going to be in our history, you know, what the boys did and where they took us, the whole of Samoa. They took us here in Samoa. We saw when they came back at the airport in Sydney. I mean, they literally took over the airport, and there was no commotion or any fuss or anything, but everything was in order. And that to me is this divine attitude that I'm talking about, this Tangaloa spirit, things that spurn from that spirit is always comforting, and it reassures our identity and realigns with our heritage, and it helps us being Samoan in the world, because this is not our world. This is the world of abroad, Australia, and it's a different world. When they played in England, that was the world of English people. It's not our world. But being Samoan in the world, we saw it, and it works. It works. Another prideful thing for me watching were the interviews afterwards, on the field and then off the field. The articulation and the ability to communicate in their language, in their world. These are the things that stand out for me. and are very important, especially for the young people in the diaspora. It's very important that you grow up, and to show your pride in being Samoan is to articulate in their language about their game, that you got so so good at their own game. These are the things that I just want to touch on just one more time, just this week. We touched on it last Sunday, and just this one more time. This is our whangongo. This is our whangongo. It was hot. It was scorching hot. The sun was out, and it was almost impossible to go out because it was so hot. It was so hot, it dried up almost everything. It withered the plants and the trees and the vegetables and the things that the people eat. It's so hot, so scorching hot that it cracked the ground, and it hasn't rained for a long time. So the plants are withering, the animals are tired, and there's nothing to drink. And people are starting to hoard. Hoard meaning not sharing, but keeping whatever to themselves. And of course, there's an element of chaos that came with that. There's a lot of arguments, there's a lot of shouting, there's a lot of fighting and bickering. And so the whole community more or less turned upside down because there is no water and the food is diminishing. And on top of that, it's hot every day in the village. But there was this young lady, her name is Sina. Sina, being a spiritual young girl, thought she would go and call to the gods and ask the God, the spirit God, Tangaroa, for help. So Sina went up to the mountain and she called out to the spirit Tangaroa, to the Tangaroa spirit, and said, Spirit Tangaroa, you are the sun. Do you have to shine so hard? Do you have to be so scorchingly hot that it's withering everything and drying everything, even crack the ground? Do you have to shine so hard and so hot? Tangaroa spirit, you are the clouds, but you are just the white clouds with no condensation in it. Can you change color and become black? You are the wind, and be the wind that pushes you up to the mountain so we can get some rain. Tangaroa, you are the clap of thunder. You are the fireworks of lightning. We need to hear thunder, and we need to see the fireworks of lightning. Maybe it'll brighten up our spirit, because Sina did this 2 days. At the foot of the mountain sat Tangaroa Langi, the wise man of the village. And he hears Sina coming over and going up the mountain and then screaming out and calling out to Tangaroa. And so on the 4th day, when Sina came down, Tangaroa Langi called her over and she says, Sina, I want to share something with you. And Sina says, what's that? Oh, wise one. And Tangaroa Langi said, the spirit Tangaroa does not hear your meditation and your calling out to change the environment and the ambience of nature, because the spirit can hear the spirit of the people in the village. They're arguing, they're fighting, they're hoarding things, they're keeping things to themselves and not sharing things with everybody else. The Spirit Tanaloa doesn't like it. I don't like it. And I know deep down in your heart, you don't like it. At this point, Sina was in tears. And she said, you're right. But what can I do? Tangaloa Langi said, what will change Spirit Tangaloa is if you can get the whole village to make a lot of noise together. Make a lot of noise together so the Spirit Tangaloa can hear they're doing something together. So Sina trekked her way down and went to the village and told the village about what she thought and what they need to do to bring rain. And this is the village's response. They said, you expect me to make noise with him? Are you kidding? I'm not going to even stand next to him. And you hear others saying, you want me to sing with her? You want me to beat drums with him? And that was the general response of the people. They are so divided that not one soul wants to do something with anybody else. And so Sina went back home. But on the way home, she knew that was the ancestors whispering in her ear, the silent whispers, and said, you don't have to wait for them to make the noise. You make the noise. And Sina, kind of talking to herself, said, but Tangaloa Langi said, the Spirit of Tangaloa wants to hear a loud sound together, not just me. There's a loud sound created and made by us together. And the ancestors whispered again and said, yes, but someone has to start making that noise together. Like everything else, like a long journey, it starts with one step, the first step. Let you be that first step. Let you be the start of that loud noise together. And so she lifted her head up, and now she's walking gallantly to her folly, not knowing what to do, but she knew what needs to be done. And of course, she walks in and she looks up, and above the blinds, there's a little shelf where she keeps the mats and everything else. And there was a pake and 2 sticks that her and her kids and her family always play and make fun and have fun with. So she grabbed the pake, and the other one that was behind, she grabbed 2 pakes, 4 sticks, and almost ran to where Tangaloa Langi was sitting at the foot of the mountain. So when she went over, Tangaloa Langi was smiling, and he says, oh, what's with the pake and the sticks? And so she relayed the story to her about how when she walked home, how everybody responded to the idea of singing together, making a lot of noise together, so the Spirit of Tangaloa can hear that we'll change, we'll come together, we're making this loud noise together. But their response was so negative. Nobody wanted to do anything together with nobody. But she continued to Tangaloa Langi. On the way home, the ancestors spoke to me, and they said, you be the start. You be the start of making that noise. You don't have to wait for them. You don't have to ask them. You saw what they were like. You start. Maybe somebody will come in and they hear how nice the noise is. And that's what is this pake. There's one pake for you, wise one, and there's one pake for me. So they sat there and they started beating their pakes. And the rhythm was syncing together. It sounded so good. And you know how it is with things. When you do something and you like it, you enjoy it, you become good at it. And when you're good at something, you keep doing it. And when you keep doing something you enjoy doing, you don't want to stop. And the more you do it, the better you are at it. So they're now beating the pake, and they're coming up with these rhythms out of this world. Next thing you know, they could hear there are other rhythms besides the rhythm they're playing. And then they keep beating and hearing other rhythms added onto these. And then the pake beating sounded so loud, and it seemed like a lot more people are beating pakes. And then on top of the sound of the pakes, there was laughter, and there was screaming, and then there was singing. Yes. And so slowly they stopped beating their pakes and just sat there and listened. And Sina had tears in her eyes because that's the sound she's used to when her village is all together, working together, sharing together, celebrating together, dancing together, beating the drums together. It's that Tangalo spirit, it's that divine attitude. Tangalo Alangi got up, held Sina's hand, and led her up the mountain. And they stood there and looked down. And it was raining dogs and cats. And there was thunder, clapping and applause. And there was fireworks of lightning. And Sina knew the gods were happy. And the Tangalo spirit, once again, is in the village and in her people. That's what happened last week. Every Samoan on the face of the planet came out, beating drums, waving flags, singing and dancing, tooting horns, standing under trees, on the street, on top of vehicles, on top of trucks, everywhere, dancing and singing and rejoicing together. Together. That's what happened when we are enshrined with the Tangalo spirit. That's what happens when we are filled to the brim with that divine attitude of being proud of who we are. Our brothers and sisters from our neighboring islands, Tonga, Fiji, our brothers and sisters, the Maoris in Aotearoa, Hawaii, Tahiti, Rarotonga, Vanuatu, everywhere. Like Sina, the ancestors said, don't wait until there is a... You start making that noise, and you watch. Everybody will join in, because when you make that noise, they will hear and they will know and they will understand that that is the Tangalo spirit, that is that divine attitude of being proud to show the world who you are. And it affected even our brothers, our white brothers and sisters. This man who went and bought a flag, I'm sure he didn't have a good time, an easy time looking for a flag, because how the heck would he know where to get a Samoan flag? But he got the flag. He went out of his way. Why? Because he wanted to get into this mode. He wanted to get into this ambience. And that is the impact and the influence of being entrenched with this divine attitude, with this indigenous mana of the Tangalo spirit. It affects and it touches people outside of us, our culture and our Oceania. Ain't that something TOA SAMOA, we thank you. Like Tangaloa Langi took Sina up to the mountain so she could see the effect of what she did. It's bringing a whole village together. That's what we're doing, TOA SAMOA. We're taking you up to the mountain so you can see what you did to your people. You brought us together. And Sina looked down and she thought to herself, this is the village I'm used to. This is the village I know. It's a village that do everything together. It's a village that help each other. It's a village that share. No hoarding, but they share. All those things we got, we found, and we enjoyed when you took us to the mountain, TOA SAMOA. And for that, we thank you. And that's how we're discovering Tangaloa this week. And that's how we're experiencing Tangaloa this week. Tangaloa, not a spirit, not a God, but an attitude. Not a God, but an experience, an ambience that you experience. And that's how we're experiencing Tangaloa this Sunday through TOA SAMOA. Well, we hope that you have a pleasant week and that all your yearnings, your wishes come true, and that everything we work for and do this week, we do it with that indigenous manna. We do it with that divine attitude of no return and always can do. It's the Tangaloa spirit. So from all of us here in Samoa, to all of you in the diaspora, and to all our brothers and sisters in the Oceania, we wish you well this week. Tofa Soifua.